country continues to battle the ever-rising gender-based violence and femicide. The Albinism Society says women living with the condition are 3 times more likely to be victims. This came out in a recently concluded government's Gender-Based and Femicide Summit. For more on this, I'm joined by Piet Lengoabala from Beauty by Nature National Albinism Society. Piet, good afternoon. Those statistics are particularly alarming.
Good afternoon, sir, and good afternoon to listeners.
Walk us through those numbers. You say that women living with albinism are 3 times more likely to face GBV.
Yes, that's true. They are more likely 3 times to face the GBV.
Of this statistic?
In most cases, the majority of women with albinism did not actually have the advantage of passing matric or even going to public schools up until the matric level. So that's where the challenge is, because most first fall into false relationships due to the fact that they only need support from the males. Now, that is the real cause that makes them to fall into incorrect relationships and make them to be 3 times in a chance to GBV, because one does not get into the relationship actually because of there's love in fact there, but they get into relationship for protection and for them to be able to live. Now you find that even the men, they are not there actually for love, but they are there actually to taste or to have an experience on having a relationship with a person with albinism. So the treatment thereof is definitely not on board.
So Piet,
that is yes.
So Piet, essentially what you're saying is that the unequal opportunities that exist around people living with albinism is a contributory factor to this statistic. Well, let's also talk about some of the issues around the stigma that is associated with people living with albinism. Is this a factor? Does it contribute to some of the issues that we're talking about this afternoon?
The stigma, yes. Stigma contributes a lot. It contributes a lot because that is the first part whereby most persons living with albinism dropped out of school because of that stigma. And then it takes their right of independence, you know. They always become dependent to some people. And then once you are now dependent, chances of that GBV are very high because everybody realizes that you are dependent on them. You cannot stand on your own. So the stigma is the main cause because it starts at school. Once you drop out of school, you are now unemployable.
Interesting that
you are now not having means to live. It's difficult to make ends meet. So that is what it's at the end of the day, people fall into this, and then GBV starts there.
So how does government assist in dealing with these issues?
Pardon?
How do you expect the government to play their role? What role can government play in dealing with these issues?
Well, to start with, we need to start it at school. Reasonable accommodation in our public schools will mean a lot because our people will be free to learn, and they will be able to equip themselves for employment. Secondly, albinism is a disability, and it was declared a disability in 2013. But still in South Africa, albinism people are still finding it very much difficult to be granted a disability grant. Doctors in SASSA cannot approve albinism people when they apply for disability grant, of which is quite unfair for any disability to be rejected by SASSA doctors. In most cases, they will tell you that you only disabled on your eyes and you can just go and look for an employment. And unfortunately, with albinism, it's not only eyesight that is disabled, but the skin itself, because you are limited. You cannot go outside and work in the sun. You are actually limited to a certain environment. So albinism is a disability. Albinism skin on its own, before we can even go to eyes or anything. But albinism skin is a disability. So I believe that if women with albinism can get that disability grant to be able to assist themselves, I doubt they can fall in such relationships that I'm talking about that make them to be more likely to triple that GBV on them.
Well, Piet, we appreciate your time this afternoon. Piet Lengoabala, Beauty by Nature National Albinism Society representative, speaking to us this afternoon on the challenges that women with albinism are facing around GBV.